What's up, people? Welcome to this episode of the By the Hood podcast slash webcast because I don't know how you're consuming this content. I'm your host as always. My name is Jimmy, and we start every show off by saying thank you to our loyal listeners, viewers, or anyone who shares this content, interacts with us on a day-to-day basis on any of our platforms. As always, I have my brother here with me, Corey. Corey, what's up?
Not much, man. How you feeling today, Joe?
Oh man, I can't complain, man. The world has changed, but I'm still just trying to stay positive in the midst of everything that's going on, man. But our platform is to highlight brothers and sisters who are doing amazing work in the community. We talk to people in business, activists, people in media, and this guest right here, another special guest. Now, this brother has his own platform. His name is Salaah Muhammad. He has Salah's Corner, and in the pre-show, I was talking to him and just saying like. He's like the wire. You know how the wire interconnects everything from the streets to the politics to business to the docs. That's kind of what he does with his platform. He talks to business leaders, he talks to politicians, and he sees how the whole world is interconnected. Everything that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, how it all works and how it's all connected. This is a brother building his own platform, so he's an entrepreneur in that respect. And we want to welcome him to the show. Salaah Muhammad, how are you, brother?
I'm great, Jimmy. Thank you and Corey for having me on. That was a great introduction. I need to copy that, record it, and just put that out there for everybody. I love that. I love that.
Yeah, man. So it's interesting hearing you talk about your platform because everything is connected, and I think a lot of times people don't recognize how some of the bigger things they see, or even the smaller things that happen on a day-to-day basis, can affect their lives. So it's great to see someone cover it, and from our perspective too, because that's another part of it. We need to tell our own stories and cover our own people, right?
Absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned telling our own stories, because that's, how I break it down to individuals when I'm talking about my platform is everyone has their own story, and you don't need to be an expert on policy, on education, on healthcare, on none of that. You don't need to be an expert on anything but your story. And
Yeah,
if you're confident in telling your story and sharing that experience, you are playing a role into, and not just improving your life, but improving your community and everybody around you.
absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your background. Where are you from? How'd you get started?
Yeah.
Did you always want to be in media, or how this play out?
Oh man, I grew up in a big family. So my mother had 9 kids, and I was number 7, and we grew up poor. I grew up right here in Philly. I was born and raised in West Philly. And, we spent a lot of time moving from place to place. I went from school to school. By the time I graduated high school, I went to probably about 11 or 12 different schools, to the
Wow.
point where every time I say this, I have to try to remember the exact number because I always lose count. And that put me at a setback, not because of anything my parents didn't do, just because of that I was a product of my circumstances. Moving around so much, not having. You start to appreciate what you do have. You start to live off of this mindset of scarcity, but at the same time, I also look at moments that we're in right now and understand and appreciate the trials and tribulations that I went through as a kid. I had my son the moment I graduated high school, in 2004. And from that moment, I knew that I needed to wrap my arms around him and make sure that he had a father figure in his life, that he had what I didn't. And not from a financial standpoint, but from a supportive standpoint, and making sure that he was being pushed to be everything that he could be and had the support and continue to achieve whatever he wanted to achieve. But from there, the one thing that I tried to break myself away from, and I didn't realize it until just recently, was I was always still attached to trying to go to work, prove myself, work hard. If you work hard, you achieve. And it was that mindset that I found myself that I needed to break away from as I've gotten older. That that's not always something that that working hard doesn't guarantee you success. I had been a manager for hospitality companies. I traveled from different states, opening new hotels and training new staff, and was a brand trainer, and I was a general manager for Sears Auto Center. I had a number of different management careers and developing staff, but I never had an opportunity to really pursue what I was passionate about and have an opportunity to give back to a community that I know needed someone to be outspoken, someone to reach within and help and lend credence to what the struggles that they were experiencing. So after working a number of different management careers, I left. My last one was working for hotels. I left that, and I really decided to take a step back and figure out, okay, well, what am I most passionate about? How can I create the community that I'm looking for? And how can I make sure that I'm leaving an impact? And I can go in and I'm proud of not just the work that I'm doing, but the people that I'm connecting with. So I started doing these little community meetups. I started writing, and I would have some friends. We would get together. We would it was a great opportunity for us to network with each other. Everyone had their own entrepreneurships that they were focusing on. But then two, it was an opportunity for us to connect on the things that we were most passionate about that were in our community, right? Like, how difficult it was to find a job, right? What, policies were in place, whether it was city or nationwide, that we found were either harming our success or we needed to understand better, or whatever was happening in the community at the time. That started to morph into people within that platform telling me, yo, you really should do a podcast. You got great voice for a podcast. You need to do it. And I'm like, man, I don't really like my voice. It ain't really about me. I don't want it to be, or how can I be successful? How can I gain notoriety from what I'm doing? It's really just about, uplifting this community and going together. Well, enough people finally talked me into it where I was like, you know what, let's make this happen. Let's start doing this podcast to not just highlight those voices who are trying, just like what you guys are doing, but also to have events where I'm connecting with local politicians. I'm bringing local politicians to communities who don't have that same access and don't understand, like you said, like the wire, like all of this shit is connected, and start to make people feel empowered to do something about their life.
Okay, so it didn't even start initially as like your own media platform. It morphed into that.
Not at all. Right.
Okay, that's interesting. So, tell us about some of the work that you do. So you said you have the live events. You have the podcast where you talk to
Yep.
people and show how it's all connected. Anything else specific that you? So the name of your platform is Salah's Corner, right?
Right. So the Salaah's Corner came from really just it started as just me writing a blog. And
Okay.
It was my corner to just, one, it started as me just ranting about what was going on politically, not just in the city, but across the country, particularly what's happening to Black people, right? Like how we don't get the same access to jobs. Like it's always a struggle for us to find health care.
Was it anything that happened socially or anything that moved you to like, I got to start like, expressing myself? Was it anything that happened like specifically or,
Oh yeah, Trump. For sure.
Okay.
It was Trump, 100%. And to be fair, I was always into politics,
Okay.
So I would get up Sunday mornings and I would watch Meet the Press. I would watch the news. I was always into it, but I never, that was something that I kept within me. I didn't really express it that vocally with a number of people, maybe some very close friends. But when I saw that Trump was going to get elected, this was even before the election, sometime over the summer, that's when I really started doing a lot more writing. And I was like, you know what, I see the level of dangerous this is becoming for a lot of communities, and how white people are very concerned with him being in office from an economical standpoint. I'm concerned with him being in an office because of very specifically what he could possibly do to Black people and to people that look like me and to people that live in Philadelphia. So I started writing and just getting it out there. And that's where I was like, I can't stay silent for so much longer, right? Like we can't continue to just be silent. Yeah, there's a quote out there, something like, if you're silent about your pain, they'll say you enjoyed it. And that's really what it started to feel like, right? Like, unless I'm going to be vocal about what's happening, if they're going to say that, I went along with it. And all of us as Black people, we just go along with it. All the people that are in struggle, that are, in this struggle every single day, if we ain't speaking out about it, we must like where we are.
So how empowering was it once you started to communicate and write your thoughts out? And then, like you said, it morphed into something else, which morphed into something else, and now you have a full platform. How did that help you personally when you started to express yourself and get your thoughts out?
It's I have to say it's a constant thing, because every time I produce something and put it out there, it feels great the moment I put it out there. Especially knowing that there are, I started this saying to myself, if I could just get one person to act, right? If I can do one person at a time to get out there. They don't have to do any, I'm not saying, go out there, hold somebody hostage, go shoot, kill. No. I just want one person to get up there, maybe go vote, maybe go talk to somebody else about how crazy their ideas are. Maybe just go out there and speak about your own personal experience. But if I can get one person to act, I did my job.
Absolutely.
And that's what it came to. I was able to, every time I put something out there, I'm able to get at least one person to act. And I just build on it from there. And then every time I put something out there, it feels amazing. It is like, it's finding that community that I know is out there that really wants to express themselves and really wants to find either a place or someone that is speaking some real shit and connecting to their struggle, and is able to find that home for that. And then that process starts over every time I start something new. Every time I do a new episode, every time I write a new blog piece, every time I do a new interview, whether it's on the radio, whether it's with another podcaster, it's that whole starting over process just feels great every single time.
Yeah, that's amazing. The
So,
internet.
so
Go ahead, Corey.
what's the end goal of the action? What kind of action do you want them to take? Is it political, or is it something that they're doing for themselves? What kind of action do you want them to take?
So at the end of the day, my main goal is to get more people to vote. I believe that when more people vote, when more of us vote, we have a larger say-so in what's happening in our communities. We have a larger say-so in what's happening in our education system. We have a much larger say into what's happening in our healthcare. But it's not just to vote, right? It's to be media conscious, because that is a huge struggle, especially right now in this world we live in, where so many people are producing content and producing media that we don't know the right sources to go through. We don't know how to vet the right sources. So it's, the end game is to get more people to vote, but it's done through empowering them through media education, through political education, through empowering them to just to speak their own existence, so that they feel confident and comfortable and confident to get out there and vote more frequently.
Okay, because I think what you said is absolutely true. It's about being conscious of what's going on.
Yeah.
Not necessarily conscious that how it's used in a pejorative a lot of times now, but just to understand how these things that go on in the world affect them. Even global politics can have an effect on your everyday life if you understand what's going on, and how everything is connected. Whether we're talking about the economy, healthcare, politics, how it all can have an effect on your life.
And I think as we're talking about this right in the middle of a global pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Everybody is forced to stay home and can't go to work, and wondering where their next check is going to come from, wondering when their kids are going to be going back to school. Philly right now still ain't even got any kind of a say-so on what's happening with our education system. Is there going to be laptops going to actually be given to all the students? What is the curriculum going to look like, right? Like, we just heard that everything is basically suspended indefinitely as of today. So what does that mean? What does that mean for communities that typically struggle? What does that mean for people who are disabled? What does that mean for people who need special needs assistance when it comes to education? There's a lot that is at stake. And I think now more than ever, there needs to be a better understanding, not just in Black communities, but in every community, how politics really plays a role in every aspect of our lives. Because right now it is affecting us
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you can see
severely.
it right now is the time you see it. But the thing is to keep that in mind when things are going good, right? So
Right, right.
yeah, it's not just about like times like these, but when things are going good, to stay cognizant of that. So let me ask you a question. To get from where you started to where you are now, right? What would you say has been your biggest like hurdle or something that you had to get over, or maybe a struggle you had to help you get from where you were to now, building out this platform you have?
I would say it was getting over myself. As much as I am building this platform to empower and encourage other people to speak their existence and to speak, the pain and struggles that they go through, it's the same for me. That's hard, as a Black man, and I'm not sure how it is for you guys, but we're raised to be hard and tough and not to share and show emotion and not to connect on a deeper level with what's really going on inside of us. So that's a everyday thing for me is connecting to what's going on up here, what's going on up in my head, what's happening that's preventing me from producing work, from connecting with new people, to reconnecting with people who may have had a shaky relationship with. That's an everyday struggle because I from birth, growing up in a struggling community, growing up as number 7 of 9 kids, it was always to put what was troubling you, what was the struggle, on the back burner and just push ahead. So having to face that every day and having to try to overcome that every day is that's something that I had to learn in the beginning, especially as I started to do these community events with the podcast and even a live podcast. But that's something that I'm doing every single day.
So what helped you, or what should I say helps you, not helped you, because it's like you said, it's still an everyday struggle. How did you get to that point where you just said, look, I got to do this, or you get over that? Because I understand and I relate to what you're saying, because you're right. That male ego, and also how you're raised to have a tough exterior, not be vulnerable, and just put your problems on the back burner and just is move. How do you deal with that? What are some things that you use, or
I for I would say a few different things. Number one, my wife helps me. She calls my bullshit when she sees it. That's the easy one right there. But number two would be connecting with other people like you guys, right? Like connecting with people who understand what that struggle is like and can understand where you come from. And they don't have to know everything that's wrong and everything that's going on in your head, but they speak to something that, what, I've been there before, or what, I at least understand what that mentality is like, what struggles you may have faced as a child or as a man, as you trying to make it for as a father and as a husband, and using that energy of those people that you connect with and just keep catapulting to the next one.
okay.
And then from there, I would say, honestly, go to therapy. I
Yeah.
mean, that's some real shit. And that's another thing that is like, historically frowned upon for Black men is like, we don't really seek that guidance, and that, I need help is like a negative stigma that, we just need to overcome.
It's interesting, right? So you're about the fourth person in a row, this is like a recent
Yeah.
phenomenon, something I'm paying attention to, where you mentioned how important it is to have like a wife to call you on your BS, or a strong wife. Some semblance of that has been said, probably in like 4 straight podcasts. Can you speak to
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
How important is it for someone who's building something, following their dreams, or trying to build out a platform like you're doing? How important is it to have a significant other that supports you and also calls you on your BS?
It's, man, I'll say it like this. I can lie to myself all day, right? Like, I mean, we all do it, right? We all lie to ourselves, especially when it comes to, getting up and working, or, you want to sleep a little longer, you end up late and shit, or, you just doing this for this reason or that reason. It's real easy to lie to yourself. But when you have somebody a significant other or just anybody, whether it's a wife or even a child, that is in your corner, that's your rock, that's supporting you. They ain't gonna lie to you. They gonna call you on it, and you need it though, because that is what. If you don't have that, if you don't have somebody that's going to challenge that mindset, then you could. It's
it's an accountability measure. Yeah, it's an accountability measure.
It is. Not everybody is Kobe Bryant, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody is it got that Mamba mentality, and that's okay too. Like, everybody can't be the 100% go hard, go strong all day, all night. Everybody, you need to understand what you need, and if you need somebody to push you, if you need somebody to call you on your bullshit, then that's great, and it's okay to recognize that.
Self-awareness is a major key, right?
Yeah.
Oh man,
yeah,
so
it is.
So you dropped a lot of gems, man, with this and I love to see another brother building this out, and also who's community oriented as well. So it's not just about you, it's about the people, and I just want to say I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what are your future plans for your platform? Are you going to do anything different, just more of the same, or what do you think is your future goal, or where do you see yourself? Not trying to sound like a job interview where they say, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years? But no, but where do you see you building your platform now?
Well, it's funny that you say that, man, because prior to I mean, as many people, right? Like, I'm not the only one facing this, but prior to this epidemic or this pandemic, there was a lot of things that was in the works. I was in the process of hosting a podcast workshop for some youth and getting them comfortable with in front of the microphone, not just producing their own content, but also understanding what it means to be a media professional. That's been put on the back burner, as well as some other political hosting gigs that I had was put on the back burner. But I am working to do something virtually, to try to connect with people on being able to host their own podcasts. And I think it's important to when we do that, not to just be able to produce your own content, because that's great, to be able to produce something to call your own. And it's really great for independent people to do that. So it's not just controlled by large corporations, but it's also important to be aware that you are still a media person once you start doing that. And it's important to have a certain ethical way about how you produce content, about how you do interviews, about how you put information out there. So it's partnering those two together. So I'm working, right before I got on this call, actually, I was putting that workshop series to do something virtually together, to make that available to people who are finding themselves, one, at home, got a lot of time on their hands, right? Right now, we've gone through this at least through April now, to be able to start learning how to produce their own content. I'm honestly something to keep me occupied during this crazy epidemic. Hopefully, when this is over, we can get back out there and start doing more live events. I am going to be emailing a few local politicians who have been guests on the podcast in the past. We'll try to do some virtual content as well to help spread some of the things that our city council is doing, to get more testing sites up for people, to make more meal plans available for people who don't know. Because there's a lot of information that's happening right now in the city where there's resources for people to get meals every day now, not just students. There's a lot of restaurants that are making their produce and food available to the public to buy in bulk, especially for people who aren't able to find it in supermarkets. So there's a lot that's happening, but there's not a lot of resource sharing right now, and people finding that information. So that's our next step is, well, how can we start doing some live podcast interviews on Instagram, Facebook, and get this information out to people who don't have the access to it.
All right, so a couple last questions before we get you out of here. Give me a book or something that that inspired you or helped you along the way. One of the things we like to do is we like to collect from our guests books that have inspired them, and we have like a running tally of all these various books that we have under our recommended books. For those listening or watching, just check the show notes or check the description, and you'll see a tab that says recommended book. So do you have any specific book or anything in mind that has inspired you along the way?
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm always constantly reading books. I love it, honestly. It's what keeps me sharp. I feel like what keeps me not just sharp from being able to have constant conversation, but also putting historical context to it. So I'll recommend two books.
Okay.
One is fiction, one's nonfiction. So the fiction book is by an author. His name is Ta-Nehisi Coates, and it's called The Water Dancer.
This is newest one, yeah, The Water Dancer.
Yeah. Water Dancer is, man, it's deep. It's deep. It's sad. It's going to take you through some stuff.
All good books
book.
should. Yeah.
It really does. He's an amazing author, and I've read a lot of his nonfiction as well. But I definitely recommend that fiction book. And it's based in, the times of slavery, and this young man, his name is Hiram, who's a slave. I'm not sure if either one of you have read it, but
I'm actually in the middle of it. It's one of the books I'm actually reading right now.
Okay, good. Yeah, I highly recommend that one.
Yeah.
And then the second book is a nonfiction book. It's by Angela Davis. It's called Freedom is a Constant Struggle.
Okay.
And I really recommend that book because it outlines the importance of how we are struggling here, right here in let's say in Philadelphia with a particular issue. It doesn't matter what it is. There is someone somewhere else in the world that's struggling a very identical issue. And it's important to outline the similarities in those struggles, so you can build solidarity, you can build a connection, because there's power in more people rallying together versus us trying to do our thing and someone else trying to do their thing.
Absolutely.
So it talks about the importance of all of that.
Oh man, those are two good books. No one's recommended those, so I'll make sure I'll add those to our recommended books list. So for those out there who want to take a look at those books, they can, man. Salaah, listen, man, I just want to say thank you, man. Much continued success. We'll be out there to support you once we're able to leave our homes. We'll be out there to support you in the streets, man. But
front lines.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing and making the people aware, and raising the awareness in the community and building out your amazing platform, man. Corey, you got any questions? Anything you want to say before we get out of here, good brother?
Two things. One, thank you, Salaah, for inspiring people and getting them to act. And two, thank you to our partners that listen to our show and build with us. All of our partners.
Yeah.
Because everybody that listens to us is a partner of ours. Because because of you, we exist. So I want to say thank you to all of our partners also.
Yeah, man. And I think this is amazing times that we're living in, although right now it's kind of crazy because, the internet is a game changer, man. So, and I say that because just thinking about what you're working on, some of the things that you're doing and some of the comments that you made during this, when you talk about meeting like minds, right? Because there was a time I've been, talking about community and Black wealth and how to bring resources together to help the community. And I used to feel like I was alone, right? And having these conversations. Yeah. And then you get online and you're like, oh, it's people all over the world having this same conversation, right? So, I'm not a weirdo. I might still be a weirdo, but at the end of the day, it's a bunch of us weirdos, right? So, I just want to say that the internet's a game changer, man. But keep doing what you're doing. We're here to support you. For the people out there, we'll put all his social media links as well as a link to his podcast and everything within our show notes in the description box if you're watching this video. We'll also add his recommended books to our list. And Salaah, man, just want to say thanks, good brother.
Hey, I appreciate both of you. Like I said, I'm a fellow weirdo too, Jimmy, and it's recognize who you are, man, because it like you said, it is a bunch of us out there, and I feel the same way occasionally. Where,
absolutely,
you feel like you're the only one like, damn, man, I'm really going through it in this little moment, and it's like, nah, there's a lot of people out there
Yeah, man, absolutely,
that
man.
we're connected to. So
that's right. And as a community, we build and get stronger, man. And because there's a lot of positive people out there doing amazing work, man. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, your platform exists and why this platform exists, to highlight some of those people so people can see that, listen, and it's amazing. It's amazing to me. And I say this all the time because it's still amazing to me how people believe stereotypes. So when we put these, every time we put a show out or something, I get a comment like, wow, you know, this brother, like, listen, all of us don't play basketball, right? You know, all of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, we nice at that.
Everybody ain't a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher.
Yeah, and everybody,
things.
everybody don't rap, but everybody can contribute to the overall community in various ways, man. So, you know, with all that being said, man, Salaah, man, we appreciate you, man, and we'll definitely stay in touch and keep building with you. And for our listeners out there, make sure you share this content. For those that have purchased the merch, which you can find, you know, going right to our the link in our bio, you can purchase the merch. We appreciate all those that purchase hoodies and T-shirts. And just want to say thanks to everybody who continues to support everything that we're doing. As we always say, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much you keep. Game elevates, and we'll see you on the next episode. Peace.